So Volker's been talking about, we've been talking about ecosystems, right? And so for me, I've been a player in helping to build ecosystems. And so when we talk about that, let me give you a little background. Am I doing this wrong? That's right. A little background on myself. I have worked in corporates for 20 years, mostly Fortune 10 companies, IBM, Coca-Cola, AT&T. My last company was Walmart. A little bit about how I think and why I've been working for corporations is I am a nomad. I travel all the time. I currently actually do not own or rent a house. I have all my stuff in storage in Dallas, Texas. This is important because when I look at startups and corporations, I look at the future and look at how much people are changing on how they live, work, and play. And a lot of my roles inside of corporations has been in organizations that are doing things 4 or 5 years ahead of them coming into the market. So I've always thought way ahead of the game. And if corporations don't start collaborating with the startups, they are not going to survive. I'm an avid endurance athlete. I have completed 1 half Ironman. I am completing a second one in September, so I have to learn how to train while I'm traveling. And I've lived in multiple cities. So when I say I'm a nomad, I've been a nomad since I was a child. I haven't lived in any city more than 2 or 3 years. And at the rate I'm going in the last 3 years, I don't think I'm in a city for more than 2 weeks. So why is all this important? Because when I work in a corporation, I look at things not from just what that corporation can sell tomorrow. It's kind of like what Dr. Hanno Brenno talked about earlier. Audi is no longer just about cars. They may go into services. So this is similar to your slide where you did the square of corporations versus startups, right? This is corporations. They're up there, they're huge, you can see them. What most people don't see is everything underground that's going really slow like a dinosaur. There's processes, there's red tape, there's people, right? But they do have scale and they do have capital. And what do startups have? This is everything a startup is doing, exactly what a corporation does, but there are probably 1 to maybe 10 people doing this versus the thousands in a corporation. They're agile. They know what's happening tomorrow. They're building tomorrow, but they don't have scale and they don't have capital. Actually, they also don't necessarily have the consumers or their end users, which is why if the startups and corporations can collaborate together, you meld the two together. So what are some ways that can happen? So corporate innovation programs. There's different kinds of things out there, and this is important for startups to know because you need to do the research and understand what kind of corporate innovation program you want to partner with. So one is an Innovation Center of Excellence. This is usually, so innovation in corporations today is not a separate innovation group that works by itself. The Innovation Centers of Excellence usually work with different groups in the organizations, take the best practices, and share them across the company. So an example of this is Walmart Labs was basically at one point the backbone of e-commerce for Walmart. I don't know how many people know, but Walmart is not just Walmart.com, there's also SamsClub.com. It is now also Jet.com, right? So there's a lot of e-commerce sites, but they're very separate companies. What Walmart Labs did was everything to do with e-commerce actually sat in one organization so that they could share vendors, they could share best practices on how to do the e-commerce. Other companies that also have excellence is NASA, Cisco, GE. Another thing is open innovation, right? A hosted accelerator or corporate incubator. Recently, actually probably a week before I resigned from Walmart, Walmart announced store number 8. By the way, the store number 8 story is because store number 8 was a big thing when it launched in Arkansas when Sam Walton first started the Walmart stores. So store number 8 is actually an incubator. It's an incubator set out in San Francisco. And they're still figuring out how they want to set it up, but it's a Walmart incubator. Walmart has never had an incubator. I mean, this is them opening themselves up to saying, yes, we want companies to come in. We want to know what's happening out there. We want to see if we can partner with you or give you capital or, figure out how we can make you successful, because Walmart needs that, right? If they're going to be a successful company and still be here 10 years from now, they need to start getting outside input. Innovation outposts. So when I worked at AT&T, I did not actually work at the AT&T Foundry, but I worked with the AT&T Foundry. So I used to lead innovation for entertainment, media, sports, and hospitality. And this is what I talk about when we would work on things 4 or 5 years before it came out in the market. So you stay in hotels, keyless entry, right? It became a big thing probably the beginning of last year. We were working on it 4 years ago at AT&T in partnership with the hotels to make sure that it could actually work. Because at the end of the day, you need Wi-Fi and you need network connectivity for keyless entry to work. So even though keyless entry became very, very common last year, we were working on it in 2011, right? So when it actually launched, I was like, oh, finally, everyone's there. So the AT&T Foundry, so an innovation outpost is an actual organization that sits out there. Their job is to meet with startups, understand what's happening in the market, and start trying to figure out what companies we should be partnering with, incubating, things like that. Another is external accelerators. So for example, if you look at Techstars, which is one of the bigger ones that a lot of people have heard about, the reason external accelerators are also important for startups is because sometimes they have industry-specific corporations that they already partner with, and they become the third party to go out and look for the startups. So Techstars is one of those that has a lot of industries. I mean, they've partnered with Amazon, American Airlines, PwC. So there's the airline industry, there's consulting. So if you would want to go to Techstars, you'd need to see, okay, what companies are you really wanting to partner with, and go in with that focus as you start to join an accelerator. Technology, education, and university partnership. Walmart has, well, actually it's not Walmart. Doug McMillon, who is the CEO of Walmart, has donated money to the University of Arkansas to create a design center around retail. But it's not necessary that he's doing it because he wants those companies and students to come into Walmart. It's just to bolster the retail industry, which at the end of the day, you need competition in any industry you go into. So, because you can't just have one company, otherwise it'll take over and you'll lose your consumers. So universities are another place where corporations are putting money so that they can get new talent, new ideas for people who aren't even in the market yet. And then lastly is acquisition. Walmart has had 6 huge acquisitions in the last almost 6 months, or 2 years, because Jet was about a year ago. Acquisition is actually one of the important things for startups to remember. When you're a startup, you have to focus on who is your consumer or user. If you're going to sell your company, who do you want buying your company? I don't know if everybody knows the Jet story, but Mark Lowry, who was the CEO of Jet, knew when he started it, he wanted to sell the company to Walmart and not Amazon. He did sell for his first company to Amazon. He went in building the company knowing that one day he's going to sell it to Walmart. And he sold it to Walmart for $3 billion last year. These other companies, Shoebuy, Bonobos, ModCloth, Moose Jaw, and Hayneedle, have all sold for double-digit millions in this past 6 months. Some of them are still in getting, the contracts are still happening or whatever. But 6 acquisitions in the last 6 months by Walmart because they want to diversify. They know, corporations know that they don't have the ability to build everything inside. So this is a great place for startups who are creating new to come in and partner with them. So as a startup, you've got to think about what is your goal, who are you trying to sell your company to, what kind of corporate innovation programs can you join, because they're going to be able to give you capital and resources. So, and then if you want to follow me or find me, that's where you can reach me.